Welcome to Bodybuilding.com's Foundation of Fitness Nutrition course. I'm Dr. Doug Kalman.
I'm Dr. Susan Hewlings, and we'll be your guides over the 9 videos comprising this course.
Foundations of Fitness Nutrition is designed to be a comprehensive and applicable guide to help everyone make more educated choices about the food they eat, especially people with fitness or physique goals.
We're both registered dietitians and Ph.D.s, but we're also athletes ourselves, and we work with athletes of all levels every day. We've seen every eating style and dietary pattern in action, and we've seen what works and what doesn't.
This isn't to say that there's only one way to eat, but there are some basic guidelines that can fit into numerous approaches. This course isn't going to tell you to follow or not follow any particular diet. It's meant to help you be successful with whatever eating plan you follow.
You'll be better able to identify what you may be unknowingly doing to prevent you from reaching your goals.
You could think of this as the foundational course you should have had about how to eat healthy and make everyday nutrition choices that support health and help you reach your goals. What is a healthy diet? I'm sure many of you have gone in search of this answer only to find more questions and answers. And no, there's not an easy one-size-fits-all definition of a healthy diet. So let's start at the beginning with a plate of food. Pretty simple, right? Not at all. A plate of food is actually a reflection of a huge number of influences. Whether we realize it or not, our food choices are the products of our environment, our culture, our traditions, families, and finances, and yes, tastes. And that's without talking at all about the nutrition of the food itself. So let's take another look. What on that plate is good for you or bad for you? You may think you know right away. So let's back out further and look at a whole week's worth of the food you eat, or a month. How about a year? Taken all together, is it good for you? The answer is always, it depends. People ask nutritionists all the time, is this good for me? Is this bad for me? Why? Because our minds like lists and categories, yeses and nos. But the human body isn't that simple, and neither is the fuel it requires. The truth is, there is no one way to define a healthy diet, although there are many people who are willing to sell you one. But labeling foods good and bad misses the bigger picture. Things like the balance of the food you've eaten over time, the nutrients you're getting, and your overall health and energy levels. We're not going to tell you that any one thing is always bad for you, and that your success demands that you entirely cut out a certain nutrient or type of food. So where do we start and search for an answer? By changing our mindset about food and nutrition. That, more than any number you can measure, is going to determine how you can turn big nutritional ideas into a healthy body composition and athletic performance. So let's dig in.
Here's something you might not know. Even thinking in terms of nutrition is a very new concept, and a hard one to define once you start to look at it closely. As a field of study, nutrition is very young. Even though athletes have definitely been eating a certain way in order to boost performance for thousands of years, nutrition as we know it grew out of disease treatment and doctors trying to solve nutritional deficiencies that led to diseases like rickets and scurvy. Today, when those diseases are far less common, nutrition is at the intersection of numerous fields, including food science, biochemistry, and physiology. Once you start looking at nutrition as a series of choices we make every day, it even brings in plenty of human psychology. That's without taking into account things like the economics of food or the environmental impact of food choices, both of which are discussed now more than ever. So before we dig deep into familiar items like calories, proteins, carbs, let's give a brief working definition of nutrition to start. Nutrition is first and foremost giving your body what it needs to survive and to support your activity goals. In other words, looking at food as fuel. That fuel can also be broken down into 2 separate classes: substances that provide energy and nutrients that support metabolism. The first category is what we commonly refer to as the macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fat. These are essential substances that each have a certain value that can be measured in calories, and which your body needs to be able to move and operate. It also includes alcohol, which, even when it's clear and doesn't have any mixers added in, it still has calories. Sorry about that. The second category is what we call micronutrients, and it includes all the vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and all the other non-caloric substances that your body uses to facilitate countless processes. You don't use these as fuel, but if you're not getting enough of them, you'll definitely feel the effects. And then, of course, there's water, which is equally important as any nutrient. Everything you eat is a combination of these three categories, or it's just extra stuff. But collectively, they're the fuel for your engine, almost like your body is an elite sports car. Put subpar fuel in that car and it'll still run, but if you put the best gas in, it's going to run even better. However, let's be clear about one thing. There is no perfect diet. You can spend decades chasing one, and plenty of people have, but perfection and nutrition don't go together. Instead, look for every opportunity to optimize your intake and think before you eat. What does that mean in action? It means looking back at a week and knowing you consciously consumed plenty of quality fuel and nutrients and didn't drown it in empty calories. A week where you felt your nutrition paid off in terms of consistent energy and quality training, not just a certain number on a scale. The key word here is optimal.
Seriously, what is a healthy diet? This question again will help you develop a more overall picture soon enough. But for now, let's just say that healthy diets do have a few unifying characteristics. For one, a proper diet has variety, meaning it delivers nutrients from a wide range of sources, not just the same thing over and over again. It has balance, so it's not over-reliant on a single macronutrient. It has maximum nutrient density, particularly micronutrients and minimum empty calories. It has moderation. It is an approach where you feel like you can make informed decisions. And just as importantly, it's an approach that you could sustain. This doesn't have to be as complicated as you think. If you're looking for a place to start, here's a 7-word foundation you could build upon. Not too processed, not too many ingredients. Yes, that's a little vague. After all, what's too processed? Well, even by asking that question and aiming for a standard, you're headed in the right direction. By prioritizing quality and whole foods whenever possible, you can address many goals with one approach. You'll dial back the traditional enemies like excess sodium and simple carbs, saturated fats, trans fats, high fructose corn syrup, and many unwanted additives and preservatives. Here's what it can look like. A solid portion of protein, a lot of veggies, and a satisfying serving of high fiber carbs and some fats. Not overemphasizing counting the calories, but maybe the protein at least at first. Then repeat, repeat, repeat. Having a high level of scrutiny of anything in a wrapper, dressings, sauces, and flavorings. In other words, all those ingredients that have been engineered and tested to be hyper-palatable and last a long time on the shelf. These are those food items packed with ingredients that none of us can pronounce easily. These are likely candidates for some addition by subtraction. You don't have to kick all of them out, but approach them with caution. And instead, you might use fresh herbs or dried seasonings, spice up your food with natural peppers and herbs. You can sweeten food with berries and fruits, or add fat and flavor with nuts. In other words, foods. We'll dig deeper into the specifics of important nutrients in future videos. For now, know that the goal is to think before you eat. When you walk into the kitchen, you'll be better able to think in terms of what do I need to eat, not just what do I feel like eating. We're going to help you answer that question, and then once you know what you need, you can fine-tune it from there.